Monolith Soft's Disaster Day of Crisis for the Nintendo Wii is probably most infamous for the hubbub surrounding its localization. There are a lot of reasons why Nintendo was hesitant to bring it stateside, but one of the more well-known internal points of contention was the original script. Like many other B-movie style games from Japan, Disaster was made with an English voice track in mind. Pop in the Japanese version and you'll get the full story. However, Nintendo of America was not happy with this original script, so they decided to rewrite as well as re-record the majority of the lines. Given the lack of a US release, you might think this would be a lost draft, but the European and Australian versions actually utilize it, resulting in an interesting situation where there are two sets of English voice acting you can get depending on which copy you have. Having a different English voice track between regions isn't completely unheard of. Games like Ape Escape and Extermination saw their actors replaced when localized in Europe. What stands out about Disaster Day of Crisis' case is that all the original actors were brought back in. This is something I see mentioned in a lot of videos about the game, but is never elaborated on beyond two facts: that the enemy militia group had its name changed from Storm to Surge, and that one of the actors had some public comments at the time bemoaning the re-recording as he felt it was unnecessary. So in this video, I want to do some comparisons in addition to some analysis of what was reworked. I'm not any sort of professional, so this is only my opinion. I'll also fit in some other non-voice related changes at the end. One of the best examples we can start with is early in the game, as it does a good job of demonstrating what one of the goals of this re-recording likely were, and that's spunking up the dialogue a bit. This scene occurs when protagonist Ray reconvenes on the erupting volcano with his fellow rescue worker, Steve. Here's the Japanese version.
Hey, Ray! You alright? You're tough to kill, huh?
Same to you. Are you hurt?
Nope, as you can see.
Which I think comes off as a bit bland. You'll see why with the rewrite.
Hey, Ray! You alright? You decided to live a little longer?
Yeah, you too, huh? You hurt?
Nope, check it out, tip-top.
There's a lot of smart little changes here, including the decided to live a little longer coming off as more playful sarcasm than Ray being tough to kill. It's slight, but the point of this scene is to downplay an escalating situation as the volcano is becoming more unstable. Steve's second comment does a great job of doing this with his energetic exclamation that his condition is
tip-top,
versus the original where he more or less just says he's fine. It also helps convey that long-time buddy relationship between the two. Another change was in keeping some characters more consistent. Your first real boss encounter is on the bridge as a tsunami rushes towards the shore. Ray and a member of the terrorist group, Surge, end up in a standoff. Gordon is the first major antagonist. He's somewhat of a prideful soldier that definitely takes some pleasure in this whole experience. He's got a sharp tongue that pairs well with his southern US accent, resulting in some of my favorite lines. In the Japanese version, one particular word he uses in this scene feels out of character for him.
Now I want you to think this over, kid. You go back from where you came, and we won't perforate you.
The key word there being perforate. Given his style of speech, in combination with the down-to-earth stereotypes around his accent, it feels a bit out of place.
So use your head, kid. Just go back where you came from. We won't have to put any holes in you.
This rewrite is much more direct while still maintaining that lighthearted threat. The rest of the antagonists do have changes, but it's more about tone. Like Gordon, most of them are crazed ex-military commanders, though some aren't as irrational as you might expect. I think one goal of the re-recording was to ever so slightly downplay their delivery. This scene is when the helicopter pilot, Banks, is threatening to blow himself up.
Hey! You know what this is?
What?
Now pay attention carefully. This is the bomb. This is the detonator. With a simple push of the button, boom! If you shoot me, boom! We'll be blown sky high! So come on, pal! Shoot me!
His initial read sounds a bit more intense than the redub.
Hey! Know what this is?
What?
Now pay attention carefully. This is the bomb. This is the detonator. With a simple push of the button, boom! If you shoot me, boom! We go sky high! So come on, pal! Shoot me!
Clarity is another factor in some of these changes. Occasionally, lines don't particularly make a ton of sense in context. For example, this random soldier was in a car chase with Ray before crashing into a wall. While laying in the middle of the rubble, in the original he says,
"Cannot pursue. Target has apparently entered the city."
apparently entered? He's the first-hand source of this information. It doesn't make a lot of sense to add that caveat in there. Whoever did the rewrite probably agreed.
"Cannot pursue. Target has entered the city."
There's also this scene where Major Evans, one of the higher-up commanders, is baiting Ray. Evans is loving the rush of this cat and mouse chase during a disaster, so he's literally saying where he is going next so Ray can find him.
What? But I want you to hang around with me a little longer. We're headed to Port Alex next. It wouldn't be the same without you.
No matter where you go, I'll still fight you!
Yet Ray responds with a, "I'll find you." Evans absolutely wants to be found, so his threat kind of has no teeth. In the rewrite, Ray more appropriately plays off this while also noting Evans' ridiculous behavior.
What? Yeah, I plugged him, but you ought to hang out with us a little longer. We're headed to Port Alex next. It wouldn't be the same without you.
See you there! You psycho!
So where does the Japanese version excel? I honestly was hoping that a more rough script would give us some wonderfully awkward dialogue or delivery that we may not have gotten after it was reworked. There is, but not much. One of the most notable is at the very beginning. Ray is trying to assure a survivor of their safety. His choice of words in the original are pretty ridiculous and probably not all that reassuring.
Listen, I'm not gonna let you fall. And even if you did, I'd fly through the air and catch you. Okay?
I actually kind of like this line more than the rewrite, which tones it down significantly.
Listen, I'm not gonna let you fall, okay? And even if you did fall, I'd jump out there and catch you, no sweat.
Like, for sure, it's still ridiculous, though way more grounded compared to Ray literally saying he'd fly out to catch him. The clips I've shown you today are a small snippet of what's changed, but a lot of the re-recording doesn't really matter, like this scene.
You're safe now. Could you please take him to West Park for me?
No, sorry, but I can't. I'm after an armed group. For some reason, they're deploying troops into the city. Staying with me will just put this man in danger.
You're safe now. Just relax. Could you please take him to West Park for me?
No, I'm really sorry, but I can't. I'm after an armed group. For some reason, they're deploying troops into the city. This man will be in danger if he stays with me.
For sure they're different, yet barely noticeable unless you're putting them side by side. It makes it a bit hard to recommend playing both releases. What I can say is Disaster Day of Crisis is a good reminder that creating a B-movie style script is not easy work. While the original is definitely fine, the European release using Nintendo of America's rewrite feels more polished with a lot of enhancements that help convey that B-movie style feel. So the next time you have a game with, quote, bad voice acting, you might want to think a bit more about its intentions and the work needed to achieve that. Now, as I promised, there are some gameplay related changes I noticed throughout my playthrough, though I did not meticulously document everything. The most common are changed graphics or removing some unnecessary text. Specifically, in the Japanese version, you'll get these overlays that pop up after certain segments or events occur. These still display, but don't show any text. Or as another example, here's real-time event camera by the prompt that highlights events. these kind of items were largely just simply removed in the European release, though one icon in specific was replaced during car chases. As for actual gameplay changes, the only thing I noticed is this box here in the Japanese release. You have to break it in order to unwedge this piece of metal. The box was removed in the European version. I assume because it doesn't make a lot of sense that a wooden box is holding down a chunk of metal in the rapids. Instead, it just breaks free when you get close to it. There are probably more changes, but nothing obvious I could spot with the naked eye. And while not necessarily related to regional differences, I do want to point out this gallery unlock, as it has some concept art that shows a feudal Japan version of Disaster Day of Crisis. As far as I'm aware, there's no other information about this art out there, but it's neat to think about what that would have looked like. Unfortunately, the art is really low resolution thanks to the Wii not being an HD system, so we'll just have to wait for that Disaster Day of Crisis art book to come out. I'm sure that's right on the top of the list of things to do over at Xenoblade Chronicles Central. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more content, I did a full playthrough of Disaster Day of Crisis on stream. If you like that B-movie style, I highly recommend checking out my Aconcagua video, which is a review of an import point-and-click adventure game that also features English voice acting. One Controller Port has a focus on games with a notable place in history, as well as titles with a distinct take on a franchise or genre. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and visit onecontrollerport.com for videos, podcasts, streams, and articles. You can also follow me on Twitter and Twitch via the links in the description.